Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's vlog for Friday, the 10th of April. Hope everybody is well. Sun shining again, which is all very nice and pleasant. You join me in the queue for the Dartford Tunnel, so I thought it was an ideal opportunity to do today's vlog. Going to talk about payments and then strategy and finance before I get on to today. Payments, I've not spoken about my February payments that were due at the end of March. Obviously that was last week, so I sat down on Good Friday and went through all the SmartPay payments and all the other payments and bits and pieces, and I was only two missing, which is, to be honest, is slightly disappointing because I was getting pretty much 100% every month in terms of people paying on time. I'm going to have a change of tack here. I'm going to name companies because I think it's only fair if us as courier drivers would get reprimanded by companies if we don't do what they ask, i.e. direct delivery and uploading pods and invoices. They should be called out if they don't pay on time. So I had two outstanding invoices, one for £84 from Sovereign Speed and one for £48 from Streetwise Couriers, Surrey. I sent them both a very nice email on Good Friday. Nothing threatening, just a nice little gentle reminder that the payment was due and it hasn't been received, and asking them if, whilst I appreciate it's Easter, could they pay by Wednesday, the 8th of April, end of business. Checked my bank account on Wednesday evening and neither had been paid. So I took the paperwork out with me with the intention to ring up on the Thursday, yesterday. Spoke to Sovereign Speed. I had to be given another number for the lady who deals with accounts. And to be fair to her, when I rang and I introduced myself, straight away she said, "Is it a February payment?" "Yes, it is." And she apologised and said, I'm doing them right now. You will be paid today. And to be fair, when I looked in the bank account at 5 o'clock, it had been paid. So fair play, Sovereign Speed. You were 9 days late, but you have paid in the end, as promised you would. And the other one did also get paid yesterday. Got my check last night. I didn't have a chance to ring him yesterday. And Streetwise Couriers Surrey have paid as well. So all paid up February. I was shocked the other day. I've mentioned this company before. Now, I've never had dealings with them. I've never worked for them, either CX or not, but I did mention them in my last batch of videos when talking about niches in transport. And I mentioned them regarding European. They do European and domestic, and it's a company called PT Williams. They've got two offices. I can't remember now if it's Wakefield or Keighley, one of the two in Yorkshire. They've also got an office over in Wrexham. They run Arctics and vans, and I was always led to believe they was a very good firm. As I say, I've never worked for them. I was shocked to read on Facebook someone giving them a right slating for non-payment of quite a lot of money, and mentioned that they had 32 negative feedbacks on the CX. I did find that hard to believe, so I looked on the directory and wow, lo and behold, they do. 45-day payment merchants, but yeah, currently 32 negatives. Reading some of the comments, it all seems people are ringing them, promise to be paid, not happening, not replying to emails, etc. So if you are owed any money, PT Williams, and you're waiting or expecting payment in the next sort of weeks or whatever, I'd keep bang on top of that, because it does sound like they've got cash flow problems. And well, maybe in trouble, maybe not, but 32 negatives is not good. Conversation for another day. Should CX be tightening up on companies like that? They must know that amount of negative feedbacks. Should they still be allowing them to post and trade on the CX? That's a discussion for another day. Strategy, payments, strategy and finance, I was just going to mention. I've mentioned a few months ago, I sort of changed the way I was thinking of working. I narrowed the area that I want to work in. Based in North Essex, so Essex is good, and I mentioned I'm quite happy to work into Suffolk, Norfolk, Cambridgeshire, and then sort of draw a line A14 down the A1 to the M25, and in Wales I used to be happy to go round to the west, sort of tying it up by just saying M25 East is a barrier, and then sort of M20, and try and stay within that. And I've not sort of kept to that. During a few of the times I had time off, I've thought about this again and looked at figures, and I don't get a lot of joy when I'm bidding on long distance jobs. I probably will do the odd exception because I just fancy a long drive, and that's more for my own reasons rather than finance. And because if you do a long one, you really need a backload, which again is proving more difficult. And it's not just me. I'm listening to Saints Man and Dave Anvil, and they're having issues where they do longer jobs and sometimes having to drive home empty. So I'm thinking I really need to try and tighten that up, and maybe instead of looking to do one job 150 quid and for 130 miles or something, and then not getting a backload or getting a really cheap backload, try and just stick to my area and look at doing 3, say £60 jobs a day. That will reduce the mileage that I'm doing. And I've also mentioned that I'm thinking about possibility of changing the van later in the year. I'm on 147,251 miles as we speak. Probably do 1,200 miles a week. I think I really need to try and bring that down to 1,000 or under. I'm not worried about pence per mile on jobs and empty running and bits and pieces, but I think if I can keep that down to 1,000 a week, 46,000 a year, I might be able to get another sort of 2-3 years out of the van. Looked at part exchanging prices. The Ford dealers, and I know I can probably get more money if I sell privately, but Ford dealers were embarrassing. Went online and they're offering me 5,500 for a van, and then expect me to pay something like £40,000 odd for a brand new one. That isn't going to work. Just as a quick look and a quick think about the future later this year or maybe next year. So I'm going to try and tighten up on my work strategy and areas, and look for say 3 £60 jobs maybe, which will get me within our target and obviously reduce the amount of miles. We'll see how that goes, and that does lead on to today, because today's been a good day. I think it sort of worked for me today. I won a job yesterday afternoon for this morning. It was an 8 o'clock collection from Colchester going 20 miles to Halstead. It was a medium wheelbase job. It was long racking, electrical stuff. So collection was booked for 8 o'clock. It is a company that I pick up a lot. They do officially open at 7:30. They are sometimes there a little bit earlier than that. So I got on site at 7:30 this morning. They were already open. He was just finishing unloading an Arctic. Put my stuff on board. I was off at 7:45. I was on site at the residential delivery at 8:20. As expected, there's no fitters on site. It's too early for them, and I always find these electrical fitters and solar engineers have a habit of not being there when delivery is expected. They don't like unloading their stuff, but it wasn't a real issue, and the lovely housewife who opened the door in her dressing gown, much better than a scruffy old smelly forklift driver in the morning, just said to me, leave it on the driveway. It wasn't an issue. She signed the paperwork, took me pictures, and I'm off site at 8:30. Job done. I thought I might have to go back to Colchester, which was 20 miles, 30 minutes, to perhaps get a second job. I did have a bid on a job from Haverhill, which was 30 minutes the other way, going to High Wycombe. Medium wheelbase job again, 85 miles. I put 110 on that. I hadn't heard anything when I did win a second job, and that was back in Colchester. It was back to the same collection point, but for a different courier company. This was a long wheelbase job going down to Maidstone, 77 miles. And I put a price for £110 on that. I think that's a decent price. And again, I got a phone call quite quickly. So I made my way back. I was back there for 9:35. Small delay on loading. They were loading another 7.5 tonner at the time, and I just had to wait for my turn, but we got the stuff on board. It was 2 pallets and some boxes off site at 10 o'clock. 77 miles to Maidstone's a great run, because it literally, I'm just on the A12, M25, M20. It was going to their other office in Maidstone, which is just off junction 8, and I got there for what was it, about 11:30. Just as I'm arriving, I'm having a quick look on the feed, and there was a job, and it was from the same postcode for the courier company that I was doing the job for, and it was going back to Chelmsford, but it was booked for 1 o'clock. Put a bid on it, and they rang me straight away and said, yeah, you can do it, but it probably isn't going to be ready till 1. I thought that's absolutely fine, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I need to get some lunch, and secondly, a friend of mine he messaged me earlier, just asked if I was in the area, because he was parked up at Maidstone Services across the road. He was waiting there. He's one of 4 tour trucks that are going out on a music tour, doing 11 countries in 3 weeks all around Europe. Very nice too. So I popped across there, had some lunch, had a cup of coffee, had a catch up and a chat, which was all very good. Made my way back over to the collection point for 1 o'clock, and yeah, again, a little bit of a delay just getting the stuff on. I was just finishing it, getting it ready, but listen, that's fine, no issues at all. Got the stuff all on board and away. Bit of traffic on the M20 coming up. Someone had broken down, and now I'm sitting on the traffic on the M20 crawling towards the bridge. Probably going to get on site in Chelmsford for about 3:15. I'll get that off. I'm going to call it a day. I think I'll call it an early day. So that's 3 jobs today, £60, 110. Not sure if I mentioned the job going back to Chelmsford, which is about, I think, 50 something miles. Got £60 for that, so a total of £230 for the day. No stress at all been very, very straightforward. I'm going to get an early finish, so I'm quite happy with that. So if I can now get days like this, I'm going to be more than happy, and I won't miss the big long ones. I have got a job booked in. I mentioned yesterday I've got a job for next Friday, which is a trip over to Hereford. Yeah, it's a straightforward job. It's a nice 4-hour drive, to be fair, and I'm normally in Hereford for 12 o'clock, so when I do that I can hopefully get something back, and that'll be my long trip for the month. Anyway, I think that's about it. I hope you've been okay today and been busy, and yeah, that's this week over. I won't do any stats because it's only been a 3-day week, but yeah, we'll go again for Monday. I'll be looking for jobs for Monday later, see what we find. Have a great day. What's left today, Friday. Thank you for watching. The viewers figures on the videos are back up to where they were, so thank you very much to all. Have a great weekend. Hopefully it's sunny, and we'll talk again next Monday. Thanks, all the best. Cheers, Paul.